Thank you for joining us on some selected Psalms. There are 150 Psalms, so to go through them would be a monumental task. The book of Psalms is really individual, episodic type of writings. In most of the books of the Bible, to get the gist of it, you have to read from chapter 1 through the end. Like a letter of Paul or the book of Genesis, it follows a story, a history. The Psalms are not like that. They're more like a hymn book. You can pick one out of many and find in it some treasures, some words that speak to the emotion of the soul. Matter of fact, Psalms covers a wide array of emotions of the human being. And so we start with Psalm 1, which really is an introductory psalm, a psalm that introduces the whole book of Psalms to us. It talks about the wicked and it talks about the godly. It's a contrast psalm, a psalm that pictures the opposite ends of the spectrum. The person who loves God and serves God, and the person who chooses to rebel against God, to go their own way. Here we have a picture of a blessed person. Oh, the joys of those who do not follow the advice of the wicked. Joys is the word that is used for blessed in the Sermon on the Mount on the Beatitudes. Joys is also interpreted or translated as happy. Happy is the person who doesn't walk after the wicked, the advice of the wicked, doesn't follow after the crowd. It's the person who does not live by the standards of the world's ways, but rather lives after the standard of God's ways. So they don't follow the advice of the wicked, or they don't stand around sinners. That means they don't linger or loiter around sinners. And then it says they don't join in or sit with mockers. And so you have a downward spiral. First they're walking, following. Then they're standing with them. And then at the end of this verse, they are actually sitting among them, comfortable being around them. But this verse says they don't do that. They don't walk after the way of the ungodly. They don't stand with the sinner. They don't sit comfortably among the presence of the sinful, the wicked. You see, there are some things that the Christian does not do. We don't want to be just a religion of don'ts, but there are some things we say no to because we love Jesus, because we want to follow a godly way, a godly path. And so this blessed person has a backbone and resolutely refuses to do some things that the world says is fine. But they delight in the law of the Lord, meditating on it day and night. They enjoy the instruction from God's word. So there are some things we don't do, but there are some things we do. We love God's word. We love to get into it. We love to gain the wisdom or glean the wisdom from the book. And so we delight in the law of the Lord, meditating on it day and night. They, the blessed ones, are like trees planted along the riverbank. The word actually means transplanted. They've been taken from maybe a parched area and transplanted right by the river where there's continual source of nourishment from the water. The blessed people are right next to the Spirit, living and drinking in what God has to offer. Their leaves never wither, and they prosper in all they do. They are fruitful. They flourish as a Christian, as a godly person, as a blessed person. And you can see fruit from their lives. But not so the wicked. This is the contrast between the blessed person and the wicked person, the person that follows God's way and the person that chooses to refuse God's way. But not so the wicked. They are like worthless chaff. They have no roots like the tree. They are scattered by the wind, just blown around hither and thither. They are not stable and have a foundation like the transplanted tree, but are contrasted with the blessed person. They have no anchor, no root system. They are just blown by every wind that might come along. They will be condemned at the time of judgment. Sinners will have no place among the godly. For the Lord, Yahweh, watches over the path of the godly, like a shepherd watches over his sheep. God watches over his sheep. And we ought to finish well. We ought to start well, but we ought to finish well. But the path of the wicked leads to destruction. Here again is this contrast between the blessed person and the wicked person. Notice in verse 1, the blessed person has joy, happiness, blessing. But the wicked person in the last verse finds destruction. Nothing good comes out of the life lived in refusal of God's way. And so be that kind of blessed person, a person who enjoys following God and doing the right thing, shunning evil and following God. Thank you for listening today. May God bless you and God keep you.